going to talk today about how to get your big break in the industry. Over the course of this weekend, you've seen the lineup. There's some amazing artists that you're going to be actually get some tips from. You're going to be able to interact with them. They're going to give you some really cool demonstrations.
Get drunk with.
That too. And you're going to get some cool demos like you've just had from Rising Sun Pictures. So where we wanted to approach this was with our background from the rookies. And I'm not sure if everyone knows what the rookies is, but we will get into it. But I think where we wanted to kind of go with this is we realize when you're a student or when you're starting out, it can kind of be quite overwhelming, and it kind of feel a bit full on in terms of how the hell do I get my job for something that I'm really passionate about. Like, there's so many different avenues. How do I get my big break? So to try and sort of give you a bit of sort of an approach of like how I broke into the industry and how Alan broke into the industry, we came from two very different sort of paths. I was a bit more of a self-taught approach, whereas Alan sort of did a bit of both, a bit of self-taught and going to a few schools just to get his training. And it shows that both work. And, you know, there are very different ways to go in. My journey started back in the day when I sort of left school. I mean, this was really infancy stuff right now, the CG sort of industry. I knew I wanted to do something creative. I knew I wanted to get out of Sydney. So I went to university and did industrial design. While industrial design, this whole big, 4 or 5 year course was going on, the CG industry was starting to release a whole bunch of bits of software that I was getting, pretty interested in. So my journey basically ended up in one direction where I graduated with a Bachelor of Industrial Design, and then I went out and got a job, and I kind of thought, oh, this is cool. I'm going to start designing stuff for James Bond. It's going to be really cool gadgets, all really exciting. And it ended up, my first job was to design the bottom of an iron. 5 years work, all this stuff at bottom of an iron. I progressed to a handle of a power tool. Then, anyway, by this time, all my interest was already in film. And I was basically self-teaching myself everything I could get my hands on. And there wasn't much back then. It's kind of a bit of a different thing right now. You guys have nearly got too much information. There's too many bits of software. There's so many different ways to go. We sort of had the different angle where there wasn't anything even in Australia. There was, Noman was, set up, and it was this amazing sort of elusive school that you sort of all wanted to go to. But, I've got a bone to pick with Alex. It was just too expensive, and it's, it was full on back then. But it was the only place giving great quality content. Through that, I left industrial design. That career went, and I actually, after self-teaching myself, I got a break at a company called Ambient Entertainment. It was working on some really dodgy kids cartoon stuff. I'm not going to mention it because we just got to bury it. Don't need anyone to see that stuff. But I sort of started generalist. I sort of, how Noah was talking about before, I just wanted to know everything. And I thought I was good at animating until I actually got into a company and realized, oh man, I sat next to an animator and realized I'm not good at animating. I started realizing, wow, I'm really good at modeling. So I started focusing my skills on modeling and sort of more assets and rigging and, surfacing and stuff. And through that, I got my next big break. So my first big break was back in the day on Happy Feet at Animal Logic. And over that sort of 4 or 5 years, everything from through to concept to the finished product, that was kind of my place to cut my teeth, figure out what this pipeline was. At the end of that, I ended up being a modeling soup, then progressed, went overseas to a moving picture company. At that time, I sort of started working again in assets. I realized, more and more that I was good at a particular area and I was passionate about it. I wanted to be good at animation. I was just crap, like legit, like I could not do it. So through that, my career progressed. And now, I've come back, spent most of my time at Animal Logic, a lot over at MPC, and now I'm at Industrial Light and Magic. I'm a CG supervisor, so I'm sort of back to where I was in the sort of generalist area. So it kind of, and it hits onto what Noah was saying before. Like you can kind of go all these different paths and find all these different ways. But just, I think the core of it, find what you like. The sooner you find what you like, the easier your journey is going to be. So, do you want to give your little journey?
My path was pretty much polar opposites to Macca. So, when I first started out, I was, I was sort of country town, New Zealand, where CG and 3D animation. You got a question already? Oh right, just stretching. So like CG was pretty much non-existent, and the options that I had was either be a butcher or a work at the local sawmill or whatever it was. But so I pretty much got out of there, and I actually I was a chef for almost 8 years, and that took me overseas, and I was doing that whole profession and working with the likes of Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver, and got to a really high level. But I got there really young, and I didn't have the money to set up my own business. And it was what I realized with the whole process of cooking. I specialized in pastries and desserts, and got into food sculpture and cake decorating, and it was the artistic sort of avenue that I was really passionate about. So I came back to Australia after working a number of years in London, and that was the first time I was there for 3 years. Came back, again working in hotels and I came back and I was really disillusioned with the industry back in Australia, because I'd worked at this really high level, and there was a lot of cowboys in the industry, and I was like, shit, what am I going to do? And I just said, fuck it, I'm going to go study art. And that's what I did. I went back and studied traditional art, didn't know really where I was going, but what I knew was that I had a profession that I could work on the weekends to support myself to do that, right? So that I did that for a couple of years, got into, painting, traditional sculpting, and really loved it. That was where my passion was. But, there's no money in art, especially in Australia. Like, it's the classic struggling artist, which I could see everywhere, and I was like, shit, where's this taking me? But at that point, that's when CG started coming onto the scene, and that's when I was like getting into photography, and that's when I got into Photoshop, and then holy shit, there was 3D Studio Max doing all this mind-blowing, visuals, which just blew my mind. And I said, you know what, that's what I want to do. And I remember seeing a documentary on TV of these animators that were in ILM actually, and just the cool shit that they were doing on Star Wars, and I was like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. So I went back and I enrolled in a course, and there was a school on William Street in Sydney, going up to King's Cross there, called Computer Animation, no, what was it, CGC, Computer Graphics College. And it was a 2-year diploma, and it was titled Advanced Computer Graphics or something like that, doing Studio Max. So, sorry. So I ended up enrolling in this course. I had to borrow money to do it. It cost, at the time, it was one of the first courses to come out in Sydney, and it cost an absolute truckload of money. I was just, having a good time and didn't really have a lot of money. So I, borrowed the money, got on this course, did 2 years of this, and I was in so far over my head, like going from cooking and then, learning about computer graphics and all the rest of it, and web design. It was during the whole sort of tech boom, and fortunately I developed enough skills that I could understand web design. But I came out of it, and what I realized when I came out of it was that I didn't have a demo reel. Like, I'd spent all this money, and I was just, scrambling because there was so much software. We were learning Dreamweaver, we were learning Flash, we were learning Studio Max, all this software, and trying to take all this in and try and have something decent at the end of it. The lecturers were pretty ordinary. They were learning on the fly because it was a new industry. So I came out of it, spanked all this money, and I didn't have a demo reel. So, for me, the path was a lot harder. But what I learned was, from my cooking days, the cycle of how to get into a job, right? So I knew that persistence and perseverance, and just keep pushing and keep pushing my skills. So I didn't have a demo reel, but I had something, and I ended up getting a job at Optus as a creative consultant, like just doing web design. There was a boutique post-production studio in North Sydney called The Cottage. So I'd go down there each day after work, go, do you mind? And I just knock on the door. I said, I've done a little bit of 3D, studied it. Do you mind if I come in and just watch what you guys are doing? And just introduce myself. And we'll talk about this later, about the power of networking and meeting people. But from that early connection with these guys, they said, oh, do you want to help out in this McDonald's commercial? And I was like, I felt like I'd won lotto. you know, it was just amazing that they had actually invited me. And
it was a terrible ad.
And actually, because we actually, that's where, because we sort of crossed paths. Actually, this is when we were sort of met each other first. And anyway, that place is gone now. But there was that was the one building block that I needed, you know, just that one gig. So I had that one thing to start with my demo reel. And after that, I was calling places and just going, hey, what do you got? I've done this amazing piece on the McDonald's commercial, you know, on the next big thing, hire me. And, you know, just pushing again, just saying, hey, you know, and then I got a job with Fuel International that are no longer around, but they were an amazing company in Sydney at the time. They did a lot of high-end stuff, and they actually supported, you know, like Noah, myself, a lot of the old sort of boys have all been through Fuel at some stage. And they gave me my sort of first big gig. And, you know, once you've got one sort of gig and you get something on your demo reel, then you're off and running, right? And that's when I met Macca. We sort of studied together because after that initial course, I went back and said, shit, I need to study some more, because that was when Maya came on the scene. And then we crossed paths, and, you know, I pretty much copied everything that he did in the classroom and said, you know what, he can help me out. So he ended up going to Animal, and then I went to Animal. He went to MPC. I was in Canada, and I came back to MPC. So we've kind of had this path for the last, 20 years.
I've been trying to shake him ever since.
Yeah. So, from that, and we'll talk about how the rookies started, but pretty much, our time overseas at MPC was when, the idea of the rookies sort of started.
Yeah. So anyway, look, that's our journey, and you guys are going to have your own. I think what we want to do and why we're passionate about the rookies is to try and... badly. We want to try and help you on that journey, right? Because everyone's going to go a different path, and it's a tough one. So today we're just going to break it down into 4 quick modules. Some of the more hard skills that you're sort of probably familiar with, like getting your demo reel. And then we're going to move into some of the sort of soft skills, like networking and, how to do a good interview. I mean, a lot of that stuff isn't spoken about. And I think back over the years with the amount of people I have hired and not hired because of really simple things, we just want to touch on a lot of that. So the industry overview. Basically, it's a cool industry. Everyone knows that. Everyone's got their little passion point about why they want to work in this industry, but the reality is it's tough. Like, it just is. Like, at the moment, we're seeing so many people apply for junior roles. It's ridiculous. I mean, you were speaking with Framestore this week.
Yeah, so I mean, they get on average, they get about 1,000 people applying for jobs a month. I know MPC, they've got a studio in India. They get 4,000 people applying a month. So the numbers are staggering, and yeah, I mean, it's and the thing for us here is that we're sort of so insulated and so removed from what's happening in the rest of the world that, even to be applying for jobs like maybe at Weta Digital, you're not even going to get a look in. They don't look for juniors. They only hire for people, starting at 5 years plus. So, we're going to talk about how we can make you stand out in the industry.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing as well. Like, it's the one thing I've noticed from being Australian, working overseas a lot, that there's this very insular bubble approach to a lot of students that come out of Australia. You'll go and have a chat at whether it's just a meetup or something, or go talk at a school, and you sort of go around and, I love, please come and show me your demo reel, do all that stuff later. But I do enjoy seeing it, but then when you quiz the student or just the young artist about how they think they're going and what's happening, they're normally sort of saying, oh, I think I'm pretty good, like I'm better at that person in my class, and I'm kind of at this level in my class. And it's like, you've got to think global. And this is why we have the rookies. I mean, the rookies, and we will get into it more, but it's an opportunity for you to see the quality of student entries. You might not be competing against them for a job down the road here, but at some point you are competing for them for jobs. And with 1,000 people applying for jobs at some of these big companies overseas, you've got to do something impressive. I'm going to give you an example of a demo reel. This is about 5 years, and I like keeping the older demo reels, just because you start thinking, oh, it's all about the new software and it's all this and that. But this is about 5 years old. And this student was just an absolute, just finished his course, and this is what he presented when he left.
Okay.
You're gorgeous.
Go!
Oh, I love the ending. It's beautiful. So look, that is the level of demo reels that you're competing against at the moment. Like it's a bit of a scare tactic, but it's not to say you're not going to get a job if your work isn't that good. But this is about getting your mindset into how you're presenting yourself and with the type of people that are getting the jobs, right? So before we get into maybe some tips on how to create a demo reel that good, one of the biggest things that I recommend to all junior artists, enthusiasts, students, anyone, define your career goals. If you don't have the goals, and I'm one of the worst people with goals, like we have a business and we're always thinking, oh yeah, whatever, goals, who cares? But from the moment we started making goals, we started achieving those things. And it's a really important thing, and I think it's something that's really underestimated by people starting out. Like everyone here should have that moment that they sort of thought, you know what, I do want to do this for a living. So, but why do you want to do it? What's your passion? Like what is the end goal? What type of job do you want? Is it at a big studio? Is it a small studio? Do you want to be a generalist? Do you want to be a specialist? What is it? Do you want to be games? Do you want to be film? Do you want to be architectural visualization? There's a whole bunch of these careers. There's nearly, an endless amount of software that you can specialize in. There's all these options. So you need to ask yourself those questions before you start figuring out where you want to go. Because the problem is when you go do a course, and you might go do a 1-year course, 3-year course, you might teach yourself for 5 years. Like if you don't know where you want to go, you're going to get swamped. There's so much out there to learn, and there's new stuff coming all the time. You can get sidetracked. So my big recommendation is to really find those skills and the things that really interest you and focus on those. So it doesn't matter if you're going to be generalist, it doesn't matter if you're going to be a specialist. Just be passionate about what you're doing, but keep that goal in mind. Keep that company in mind and figure out where you want to go.
Yeah, I think it comes back to what the young lady was asking earlier on about, should I be a generalist? Should I specialize? Like there's all that big debate that's going on, and I think like Mac is saying is if you can define like what that goal is, like if you want to go work at ILM or you want to go work at Pixar or wherever it may be, it's looking at that and then reverse engineering the whole thing, going, okay, cool. This is the type of reel that I need. This is the type of skills that I need. Do I need to be a generalist? Generalist helps, but is that going to take me, 6 years? And like Noah said, he was passionate about it, but he worked as a generalist for, probably 8 years actually. So you got to try and work out, okay, what's the fastest track that I can get to that job? And maybe it is a generalist for a couple of years, but knowing that, so you just got to track that out.
And I think one of the biggest problems this is one of the biggest questions you need to ask yourself, because there's nothing worse that I find when a student comes to me and says, hey, here's my demo reel. And you're like, okay, awesome, thanks, that was great, and you have a bit of a chat about it. But I now try and ask a lot of questions before I see the demo reel, because I want to find out, like, what job do you want? Because a lot of the time, you've become comfortable and you've created some cool projects and you're like, cool, look what I can do. Am I ready for a job? Am I ready for a job? And the fact is, like, maybe not, maybe you are, but if you can't tell me what job you want, I can't tell you where to put your energy and what to focus on. But if you come to me and say, I want to be an animator, I want to work at Pixar, that's it. Like, it might seem crazy. Like, I didn't think I'd be a CG soup at ILM, and it wasn't part of my initial goal, but it ended up being my goal. So you need that goal, not to be kind of wanky, just to kind of give you that direction, you know, and then be able to leverage off the people you meet and the feedback you get. So the portfolio, this is, as everyone knows, this is kind of what we call a career passport. Everyone needs a portfolio or a demo reel to get a job. This isn't like going down the path where, you know, you're doing a finance degree and you go, hey, I got my MBA and hey, give me a job. This is tough. Like, this is you putting all your hard work, everything on the table and showing someone. It's full on. But the thing is, that happens every day in the industry. So the sooner you start getting comfortable with presenting your work, the better. And to get a job, you need this. Like, there's no two ways about it. And through the rookies, I think we've reviewed, I don't know, I'd hate to think how many demo reels. And in terms of how many people I've hired over the years, we have seen a lot and we've made the mistakes ourselves early on. And I think what we want to try and do is make sure you don't. So a lot of this beautiful picture here, love this one. And this is all student work as well. I'd love to claim that as mine, but it's not. So originality.
I'll take it back a sec.
Yep.
Like, even so, one of the other main reasons why the rookies are set up, and like Max said, it's not about winning the actual accolade. It's kind of the first step into getting your work online and getting exposure, right? It's giving you that confidence to go, you know what? I've got a couple of pieces that I think look amazing, and I just want to see where I am on a global stage. You know, that's the biggest thing. The biggest takeaway that we get from students is the fact that a lot of people are really surprised, going, holy shit, I'm actually not as bad as I thought I was, you know? So that confidence to get your stuff out there early is, you know, like, we can't stress enough. You need to, because like Mac has said, every day you're having to show your work. You're having to go into dailies, you're having to submit stuff. You need to, like, be able to take that sort of feedback. And it's not criticism, it's feedback. You know, never take that sort of feedback personally. So getting your work up, getting exposure, getting it seen as early as possible is crucial.
And I think it's very easy for us to say, hey, be original, you know, you'll get a job. And we're not trying to be that crazy or naive. I think what we're trying to do is loop back to that mindset. Get your mindset into the game that you're showing your work to a recruiter who their day is, like, not only filled with thousands of demo reels coming in, they've got things to do, they've got meetings to go to, they're doing this. They get pulled in to all sorts of meetings all day. If you stick in their mind a little bit, like one little character, one little project or something, that's a win. If you can find that, you're going to have much easier chance of getting a job. If you don't think you have that in you to be original and all this stuff, like, get inspiration from someone else. If you want to be a modeler, but you don't really have the creative side to design your own characters, go get some artwork. Find some artwork from someone that inspires you, that's going to challenge you and show that you can create that. I would much prefer to hire a junior modeler who can take some reference that wasn't theirs and show me how they've built that, rather than going into, you know, ZBrush and creating something crazy, because everyone loves to do that, but you're not following a brief, and I need to know you can follow a brief. So another tip, don't show tutorial-based work. Do the tutorials, you got to do them. Like, go figure it out, like, go through all the steps, render it off, do everything you've got to do, but don't show that on your demo reel. Take what you learnt and do something different with it. Because once again, if the recruiter sees the same kind of finished project, the same character, the same lighting setup, whatever it is, they're just going to kind of put you in that packet. Two quick little examples that I really like. These are two little quick demo reels. Now, these are examples of what happened to us with, you know, for me, the originality with these characters are something that I know recruiters talked about. And I know this person got a job. And it wasn't because their modeling was the best, their characters were the best, the lighting was the best. there was that talking point. It was like that, hey, in a meeting, oh man, I found this person, they're really cool, you should check out their dinosaur, you know? So, and this was their demo reel. And once again, this is another old demo reel, but it's a perfect demo reel in my eyes. Like it clearly shows what you can do. It breaks everything down, and there's some originality there. There's a talking point. There's that possibility that you're going to just stand out from everyone else just that little bit. This one here,
hang on, I'll just go back as well. Like with that type of demo reel, though, you wouldn't be submitting that to like an ILM or a RSP. Like you got to think about the style, and we'll get more into this later. But you got to think about the style of your demo reel. So something like that, you would obviously pitch it towards a Pixar or a DreamWorks or something like that, right?
So this example here, I don't know if there are any sort of rigging TDs out there. You guys have a tough challenge to create a demo reel and even a portfolio that shows your rigging skills. A lot of the stuff is code-based. It's not necessarily, you guys probably are more technical than creative. So the beautiful thing about this student here who presented this work was that they were very technically based, but they also worked together with someone who was a great animator. And they did something original. And when I say I'd seen thousands of rigging demo reels where you've just got someone standing there and they just do the bind pose and they roll one finger, next finger. By that time, I'm done. It's like, oh man, come on, foot roll. Oh, let's see if the other foot rolls. Wow, okay, it rolls. You're kind of lost, so there's nothing original. So this one, you'll see, just took it a little bit different. Stops a bit abruptly there, but you get the idea. Like, it just took something that everyone had seen 1,000 times, teamed up with someone who was good at animation, showed off a rig really well, and then just brought in a whole bunch of other characters, and you're sold. You've got that originality, and you've impressed the recruiter and the rigging TD. So, realistic expectations. This is a tough one, but this is a big problem that I see a lot of students fall into the trap. you get this moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to work on my demo reel. I've got time. I'm going to do these projects. I'm going to do this massive art directed piece. I'm going to have 6 characters, a couple of environments. I'm going to do this, and this. We've all fallen into the trap. Like because you feel like you can do everything, you want to set the bar really high, but you've got to bring that back. You've got to bring it back to and go, let's be realistic. Like, this stuff takes a long time. It really does. So you need to work and be really careful about what you do for your major project or those projects that you're going to put on your demo reel, because there's nothing worse than having something that's not finished. It's going to be finished, and I've got a few more characters to do, and once I've done that, it's going to be amazing. What you're showing me now isn't amazing enough, and what it's showing the recruiter is that your time management skill isn't very good. Digi doubles, trying to do photorealistic characters. I mean, I'm the first to say I've done 100 that are pretty ordinary, and I can get to the point now that I'm pretty good at them. But if you can't, be very careful showing those type of photorealistic humans. Characters are fine because, you can say, hey, they're not real. But a human face and a digi double, that's full on. Like that's the cream of the crop, right? And that takes teams of, 100 people going crazy at it with amazing data collection. For you to sort of try and achieve that on your own, it's not that it can't be done. This is an example of a student who did exactly this, but the amount of times, if you don't get it bang on and you're only 5% off, that's what you're going to be remembered for. You'll still be like, oh, well, they did pretty good, like bit of this, bit of that, it'll get great. But it's a really dangerous path to head down. Now, I'm not saying don't do it. Definitely learn your anatomy, do all this stuff. I mean, I'd prefer to see, character people focus on just less full-on assets, because as I said, there's nothing worse than seeing a demo reel with incomplete work. It's just dangerous. And the mindset is as well, you've got to keep, is that your first couple of jobs, they're not going to be building the hero character for, whatever it is, Thor. You're not going to be doing it. You might do the belt buckle. You might do a bit of this, or you might light this, little scene, or set up something, or take someone else's thing. You're going to be tested on a lot of smaller little things. So if you can, show that you've got an interest in these things, but be careful, like have your expectations about what type of job you're going to start with, and kind of focus on that. And rendering. I mean, rendering's a massive part, and it's a big place where a lot of schools, and if you're a self-taught artist, you don't have a render farm. Like, you just don't. And if you're not planning that, wow, I've got these characters, or I need to do this light setup, or I need to do this, or whatever it is, if you're not planning that down the track and you're not have the time for it, you're just gonna fail. So you need to show time management, and that's a really critical part of your demo reel.
Yeah, and one other thing I just wanted to add in there as well is a lot of schools do group projects for their final project at the end. The danger with that is, you would get 5 or 6 demo reels that look exactly the same. I think, when you're working in a group environment, you need to think about what's my takeaway from this project. If everything goes tits up and, for whatever reasons you've got weak links and people are sick or whatever, the last thing that you want to, end up with is not having a demo reel. So you need to make sure that whatever assets or whatever you're creating for that final demo for that final project, you can actually take those assets out and create your own bespoke demo reel from that, and still be able to go, cool, I'm in a good place. You've just got to have a plan B for a lot of this stuff as well, because you don't want to get down to the end of it and go, shit, all of our short films look pretty ordinary. So just think about plan Bs.
Another one, just with the expectations, like be careful showing play blasts. It's great to show them, but I wouldn't include them in a demo reel, because once again, it's just going, you're competing with these other people that have got everything finished.
You're doing animation. I'm thinking grayscale.
Yeah. So just be careful. Like, show that stuff offline. Like, go to send in a demo reel and go, hey, here's my latest demo reel, or here's like my latest portfolio. And then if you get a little bit of communication going on, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is my other piece. It's not ready for my demo reel, but this is where I'm going to take it. It's a much better approach rather than just quickly throwing in some play blast that, once again, just brings that that level down, that quality that you know you can achieve, you've just kind of just thrown it all in and just thought, oh, it doesn't matter, but it does. It's just, you're just slowly losing little points. Okay, targeting skills to jobs. So once again, it's all about showing work that you want to do. You know, it's one thing when you do a course, you're going to get the whole cross-section, you're going to go from one end of the pipe to the other. You might have sort of interest in that entire pipe, but if you don't spend your time worrying about it or putting your extra energy into it. If you're doing a course, yeah, you've got to tick everything off, right? And you want that understanding. But it's like in an example, like don't show roto work if you don't want to do roto work. Don't rig a character if you just want to be a modeler. Like, put your energy where you want it. If you just want to light and be a lighter, then don't worry about building a scene. Work with someone. Like, you've got to really sort of get your time and effort into what you're passionate about. If you're self-taught, like, you've got to kind of come from the angle of proving that you know a bit of everything, so you're probably going to have to present something a bit more generalist. But if you're graduating from a course, there's a certain expectation that you will have an understanding of everything. Like, you're going to be able to talk the talk, you're going to be able to show a few little things. But if you can target your skills to the jobs that are out there, you're going to be in a much better position. There's a whole, I think Noah even talked about it before. It's the whole and the question, like, generalist versus specialist. It's a whole day's talk in itself. My take on it, once again, comes back to the type of job you want. If you want to do commercials at a small studio, be a generalist, be a specialist, doesn't matter. But if you want to work at a big ILM or Pixar or Weta, it's not that you can't get there being a generalist, but you'll find there'll be an easier and possibly faster path. Because often you'll have a huge show, 500 people on a show, far out, we need 20 of these people, we need another 50 of these, one day we'll just need this person. If a recruiter can go, oh, this person, they had perfect lighting skills, let's get them in. Take any opportunity you can to get your foot in the door. Even if you come in as a roto artist, it doesn't mean you can't move anywhere else. Like MPC in London and everywhere else they are now, like majority of people come through their roto department, which is a really smart move, because not only do you get exposure to every part of the pipeline, because you're bringing in stuff from everywhere and sort of doing a bit of roto layout and all of that stuff. It's a great way for you to figure out the pipeline, the tools, and then go, right, I've done my time in roto and layout. Now I want to be a compositing artist, and then cool, I'm going to head off that way. Having said that, it doesn't, as I said, like if you're unsure, just stick with what your sort of gut's saying, where your passion is. At ILM, it surprised me that even though I'm sort of saying, hey, everyone should be a specialist because that's what we recruit for, and that really has been my experience over the years, but we have a generalist team. And the generalist team are the most insanely talented people you will come across. They're basically the crack team that comes in when there's a shot that's so big and it's going to need so much art direction and so little time that it can't go through the pipeline. It just simply can't. It's just, even though the pipeline's very flexible, you need the flexibility of someone to go, right, I'm gonna model, light, rig, and make that change right now, and I'm gonna matte paint that, and I'm gonna do this. So there's great career paths for that, but it's something just to keep in mind. It's just, keep an eye on what jobs there are and what opportunities, and even consider doing multiple demo reels, multiple portfolios. Like, have a generalist reel. Oh my God, someone just put something up on ArtStation or whatever it is, like send that. Or it's like, build that communication with the recruiter and go, hey, here's my generalist reel, I've just done my compositing reel, that's it. So give yourself options and don't just, narrow it down.
Yeah, I think even, looking at the size of the studio that you're targeting as well, I know, mid-sized studios, they will look, okay, cool, I want a specialist, but it would be good if they had skills on sort of either end of that. So if I'm going in as a texturing artist, if I had modelling skills and maybe a bit of lighting, then that's favoured upon as well, you know what I mean? So that you've kind of, when it does quieten down, you've kind of still got other skills that you can sort of move into as well. So I think it's just looking at the particular establishment that you want to go to, and then again, just tailoring yourself and your skill set for that.
Yep. And this is a big one. Less is more. I mean, I know we both did it. You create a demo reel, you have a portfolio, you put everything on it. You're like, oh my God, did you see what I did here? I'm going to put it on. And you have this reel that ends up being 5 minutes, and you've got every possible 3D thing you've ever done. You try and put the good stuff at the front. You think they might watch that good one at the end, but it's not going to happen. So you've got to be super critical as well. You've got to, get the feedback from your friends, get feedback online, and really be self-critical about it. Like, if you know you can do it better, like way better, take it off. Just take it off. You can, and it's happened a lot of times, you can get a job with one asset, one lighting setup, one shot. Like, you can. And we've got a great example here.
With that, and I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about the camera. Don't worry about it.
So getting hired with one single asset?
Yeah, just getting hired with one single asset. So yeah, Mac is just going to show you a really good example. And this guy, there's a bit of a story with this guy when he entered into the rookies. This was a few years ago now, but I actually seen his work first on ArtStation, and that was after I'd just come off The Hobbit and I'd been texturing Schmorg, and I just went, wow, this guy's got some talent. It was just one piece. And he entered into the rookies. I think he did really well as well. I hope so.
He did.
But from that initial thing, we got him to do like a making of, like, how did you go about doing it? And this is some stuff we'll get into in a little bit later on. But he got, I got approached by Weta saying, hey, this kid's done some amazing work. Like, where's he working and all the rest of it. But he only created one asset, even though it's pretty impressive. But he spent all his time just on this one asset, and that was his ticket in. He didn't have to create, loads of different shots and loads of different assets. It just focused on one, and he did it really, really well. So he's a classic case of one asset will get you in.
Yep. We'll show you the demo reel. It's pretty sexy. Very cool indeed. I mean, you don't need us to tell you that was a cool reel. So yeah, less is more. Obviously, it was very lucky that he was focused enough and knew early enough as well that you wanted to be a creature, character designer and all that stuff. Like, you might not know that yet, but you can see what we're getting on about here in terms of realizing that the sooner you figure that out, it is going to make things a little bit easier. So pay attention to the details. This just comes back to simple presentation, and this comes back to the whole point that your demo reel is your first contact with the recruiter. It's not necessarily face-to-face, like it might happen today, which is great, but it is your demo reel. And if that doesn't make a good impression, or it's a bit sloppy, or it has spelling mistakes, or it's missing stuff, or it just all these little things that you kind of know about, but it's amazing how often we see that stuff come through, and it just sets the tone, and it's not a good tone. You really need to double check everything. You need to put the time and effort again into your schedule, your own time management, and go, I need that time for my demo reel or my portfolio. I just need that time outside of creating the assets and the projects to put that energy, that little finesse in. And I'm not saying, hey, go do a title card that took me 2 weeks to do and I should be doing motion graphics. Like, just put the effort in, like just a little bit. Just try and get a theme, get a style, get something. Don't And I know I talk a lot about assets, but it's easier for me in the sense that don't present turntables for 3 similar characters on different backgrounds and different lighting setups and all these different things when you're just trying to show a model. Like, get that consistency, put the effort into it, show your textures in the same way, show the layers of your comp the same way. Just get that energy into there.
Because like, if you're setting that standard and we're looking at that, automatically we're saying, well, you can't even present your demo reel. Like, how is it going to be when you're actually working in the industry, presenting your work in front of dailies and all the rest of it? So it's these little things that start, planting the seed of doubt. And the number of times that we've gone through and judged, on the rookies, and somebody is, the difference between being a finalist and being in that, like that sort of the final winners pool is, it can be the difference between one shot where we go, why, that portion is amazing. Why did they put that in? Did they actually think that was good? And that plants the seed, and you're like, So
and it sounds really critical. Like, even listening, I was like, oh, wanker. But, like, it's, and, I do it all the time. But it's bringing it back to when you as a recruiter or someone employing someone, you see the same thing over and over and over and over again. And you know, all these things we've been talking about, it seems minor, but it's just paying attention to these things just increases your chances that little bit more. So this is an example, once again, not the greatest entry, but or demo reel. No, he is, but doesn't matter. But what I like about this entry is that it's got a theme. And go to the rookies, check out how other students and junior artists are creating their demo reels. Get inspired by it. Try and emulate it. But this one's just a great example of not only great work, because it is, but the presentation. There was time and effort put into the presentation, and it just really helps. Don't know what I was saying before. It truly is amazing work, that.
But if you go back through actually, and you can see like how they've credited the actual concept artist. So what what we encourage people is, like, when you're going to do a model or text or something, like Macca said earlier on, is actually going on ArtStation, finding something that you're going to be passionate about to model, sculpt, or whatever it may be. Sending those guys an email and saying, hey, would you mind if I actually modeled, this character because I love your concept piece? As long as you get permission from that artist to be able to do that, then generally the people are fine with it. But what he's done, he's already leapfrog. He's not worrying about that concept phase. He's like, no, that's not me. I just want to model and texture. So he's immediately got a jump start. He's got his concept piece. And the beautiful thing with that is that when you look at the concept and the actual piece that he did, like he's matched it. He's matched it, like, and it's amazing, you know, that. And that's what happens in the industry. As a texture artist, I'm like, yeah, okay, here's a friggin' dragon, make it look like this, right? I'm not sitting there doing the art direction on it. I've got to try and match that as closely as possible. So when we look at stuff like that, we go, okay, this guy's good. He's matched the concept art straight away, so he's got talents, right? So.
Yeah. All right, demonstrate your knowledge. Sounds obvious, and this comes back to the whole debate of, do you have a demo reel or a show reel? For me, you have a demo reel. You are demonstrating what you know. It's not a show reel. A show reel is more something that a studio has or a software company has that's showing off their finished products. You have a responsibility, and your goal is to demonstrate your knowledge. And you know, from a lot of the examples we've been showing today, you can see that they're demonstrating their understanding of what they needed to do, the resolution they did things, the type of lights they did, the layers they used. And Noman are the masters of this, and they really have set the bar for a lot of their artists, where they'll go show some great work, but then the second half of their demo reel is breakdowns, and they go into detail and still do it creatively, but show how the shots were made, how those projects, what was put into them. And you know, what software, what this, it gives you an opportunity to really show your understanding. And that's what you want as someone who is employing someone. You want to understand that you understand what you need to do and how you sort of fit into that pipeline, because that's going to make my job easier, recruiter's job easier, and it's just everyone's going to be happy.
Yeah, and even just, you know, and some of that, sometimes you tend to overdo that as well. Like you can overdo the breakdown where you're kind of like so proud of your asset or whatever it may be that you showcase way too much of it. The turntable speed might not be the right speed or whatever. But you know, even from a texturing perspective, I don't want to see every single map that you used. If I've got a turntable and it's in the right lighting environment, I can see how the materials are reacting with that lighting. So I don't need to see every single texture map that you've used. You know, the previous one had a great, he had his little texture maps here, which was fine, you know, you could see that. It didn't consume half the canvas, it didn't consume half the screen. So, you know, the previous one with the beast, with the character, he showed none of his texture maps, but from his turntable and the lighting, I could see, you know, exactly the work that had gone into it.
But even on that note, it shows the understanding, right? It shows that I had, you know, 100 maps. I don't have to show every single one of those maps. Like, you know, lay them, show just the most important ones. But that's just a really subtle thing. You're showing that you understand what's actually going on. Just another quick demo reel, just to kind of give you a bit more context as well. Like just another great example of a demo reel that shows the artist understands what they're doing, what they need to do, and how to demonstrate that.
All
right.
Funny story with that guy. He actually ended up coming to. He's a French guy, and I think he won. Did he win? He was a finalist or something, but he ended up coming to Rising Sun and sitting next to me. I was just like, shit, you're really good. But he's actually now, he's working at Weta Digital. Like he's been there for probably 2 years now, actually. But yeah, it shows you, you know.
All right, so I mean we've gone pretty in depth with the demo reels, but you get the idea. They're important, and there's a lot of mistakes you can make. So hopefully you got a bit out of that. So I wanted to quickly transition into a few of the soft skills. Once again, some of them seem obvious, but from our experience, this is the point where a lot of the biggest mistakes are made. You know, you've gone through, you've studied, you've learned everything, you've created this amazing demo reel, and you've got the interest of a company. You're trying to get your name out there. This is where you need to put just as much energy into it, okay? So first thing, you're all kicking goals right now. Like you've got to get out there, and coming to these events is crucial. You know, and we love coming to these events, and we love telling people to come to the events because the stuff you get out of them is awesome. It's about networking. The people in this room, I guarantee you'll be working with one day. The people outside will be other people you're working with. There'll be people you're being inspired by, whatever it is. To get that face time with them it's just priceless. Like, so my recommendation, local events, just go to as many as you can. Even if it's just a little meetup or something a bit bigger like this. Get along to them. Another one that is a bit more difficult, bit more timely, bit more costly, all that stuff, is get to a global event. I know you're not always going to be able to do it, but it's a regret of mine that I waited. My first global event, I was like 10 or more years into the industry and hadn't been to a big event overseas. And that was just a game changer for me. It was like opportunities to meet people I'd been sort of remotely working with or heard about or whatever it was, new technology, it's such a small community in the scheme of things, and if you're not out there engaging in it, you're just going to miss out. And I think the problem with CG art is it's like you spend so much time like tucked away, you can kind of get lost in that. And you know, there are opportunities when you go, you know, if you can't necessarily afford to go to an overseas event, look into like volunteering. Yeah. You know, there's volunteers today here. It's an awesome thing to do because you get that little bit behind the scenes, you meet certain other people, but there's opportunities to do that stuff overseas as well, and you really should look into it. It's definitely a big one. You know, this event, I don't know if anyone can recognize this event. It's not necessarily a hugely known one, but it's probably one of the most popular and sells out the fastest. It's Trojan Horse Was a Unicorn. Has one of the greatest lineups.
Ridiculous name.
Yeah, I know, but I remember it. It's good. Yeah, has an amazing lineup. It's very intimate. It's very, you know, there's similarities to CG Futures, but it's a fantastic one to go to. And Alan's been a couple of times, and absolute testament to it.
It's on a remote island in Portugal, and it's just
kind of helps.
It kind of helps. Yeah, but it's very social. Like, you know, they kind of tout it as being, what is it? Burning Man meets TED Talks.
Yeah.
So, you know, each night you're there sort of drinking till 3 a.m. with, you know, I know Alex goes as well, but, you know, you're just hanging out with these kind of rock stars in the industry. Even for me going there and meeting some of my sort of heroes back in the day as well, you know, like it's that, you know, and from that actual initial event, you create really strong bonds and friendships from it. That's why it's so unique, you know, because you are hanging out and just being very social, and the, you know, everyone that goes there is expected to participate and interact with all the students and everyone that goes there. So, and it's that, you know, like being there, meeting so-and-so, and then, you know, like we'll get onto this about the actual interviewing, or we are kind of on that now, but being able to kind of go in and say, oh yeah, I met so-and-so at THU, or I met so-and-so at GDC or SIGGRAPH, and you've got a connection kind of with, you know, somebody in the studio already. So it's really important.
Mm. And you would not believe how connected this person is. It's sickening. Like, you go to events with him and he's like walking down, hey, how you doing, everyone? No. Everyone seems to know him, but that has helped his career, like massively, because he just knows certain people. He knows when opportunities are coming. There's an understanding, and there's that, you know, hey, I want to work with him. It's a cool bloke. Of course, let's make that happen. So, couple of key things in terms of ideas and topics about how to network. Obviously, get your stuff online. You know, it's the most important thing you can actually be doing. Jump on ArtStation. You know, it's clearly targeted to everyone here. It's, in my opinion, the best place to put your work. You know, there are other ones. Look into them. Be mindful. Like, I've got a real issue with CG artists creating their own custom websites. The issue I have is that you're spending time trying to code up or, you know, figure out a beautiful GUI or, you know, figure out some UI element or, hey, I did this cool thing and check out what I did. It's like, no one ever said, hey, I love your demo reel. Do you want to come and design our website? Like, you don't want that. So don't spend your energy doing that stuff. Like, I love web development and design, but don't put your energy into that. Put your energy into what you want to do for a living. And because there are amazing tools out there like ArtStation, just use them, honestly. Like, you know, and it is a pain point because we know there's a lot of schools who have modules that are like, hey, we're going to teach you how to build your own website. And it's like, guys, like, you need to focus on core anatomy skills or lighting fundamentals. Stop wasting your time on doing a website. So be careful with that, but get your work up there, get it out there, start showing people, get the feedback. Like, you have to build your confidence showing your work. It's as simple as that. And it's intimidating. When you first start showing your work and walking into a theater with this many people in it, and you are doing this on a daily basis, and, you know, everyone's judging because that's what you're there to do. You're trying to nitpick and find things and figure out improvements and do all this, and you've got to show stuff that you're not, you know, will get better, but you've got to show it at this level when you know it's not ready, but the feedback at that early stage is going to be really beneficial. So you've got to get that confidence. So getting it online, getting that feedback, it's going to be really helpful.
And just be careful about actually, you know, hosting it on YouTube and on Vimeo and all the rest on your personal sort of channels, because, you know, obviously if I'm going there to look at your demo reel and then I see that you've got a few other videos, like, you can expose yourself a little bit. So just be wary of putting content up there that, you know, you don't want recruiters and that to see. You know, create a new Vimeo channel and just, you know, that's where you host your demo reels. It's okay to have iterations of your demo reel, so, you know, recruiters can see the progress of that from year to year. But yeah, just keep it separate from your personal stuff, unless it's all about, you know, you're actually creating bespoke videos for, you know, the industry that you're looking to get into, you know.
I'll let Alan talk about LinkedIn. It's an important thing that you have to get onto as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn's one of those ones, it's a tough one for a student getting into because you don't have like a massive like work history and, you know, you haven't got a lot of content to actually add into LinkedIn. But for me, you know, it's really important to actually get a solid LinkedIn profile up as quickly as possible. You know, there's areas in your description and in your summary that can, you know, you can paint a picture for a recruiter straight away. They're reading that, they're understanding. You can you know, obviously host your demo reel in there as well. The other, you know, the great thing with that is, like, and every person in this room, if you're a student, should automatically tonight go home and, you know, connect with Anna and Kathy. You know, like, connection through that thing is so valuable. Even for me now, like, I'll reach out to people that are connected, and you can, you know, just building that network through LinkedIn. And when you're doing it, leave it just a really nice message, you know, like just saying, hey, you know, I'm a student studying here, really love the work that you do at this studio. You know, my goal is to work here one day. You might not get a reply, but the fact that you've kind of left a bit of a personal message rather than just being a sort of a LinkedIn whore and trying to connect with everyone, like, get out there and, you know,
tell it how it
keep
is.
Keep it personal, you know what I mean? Like, there's, you know, I get.
Am I one?
No.
No, cool.
But yeah, so there's lots of areas within LinkedIn. There's groups that you should look at. You know, there's people, if you're looking to get into modeling, there's every, you know, sort of group under the sun under there. But look at, you can see who's on that group and find out, okay, they're a key influence. I want to make sure that I'm working in the same circles as these people. So, you know, LinkedIn to me is really important, you know, to get set up as quickly as possible. Yeah.
Cool. So another way to get noticed is obviously content creation. You know, that's basically creating tutorials, writing articles, just contributing to communities, or just doing whatever. Now, a lot of students are going to think, well, hang on, I'm sort of new to this. How can I help someone else? Or how can my knowledge isn't as good as this other article I saw. Like, don't think like that. Like, at any level, even if you're like right starting your journey, like, you will have knowledge that someone else doesn't have. So by sharing that, and whether it's through a blog or just offering to write an article for a online magazine or whatever it is, just trying to contribute something, you will be amazed what will come back out of that. And we've, through the rookies and through all this stuff, we have like a huge amount of success stories. And one of them, you guys might know, Paul Paulino. He's one of our sort of rock star guys who came through the rookies. And
he's actually a judge this year. But so he went through the sort of the ranks and had a fairly decent sort of demo reel, like nothing crazy. But he started, like, after he sort of got his first job, then he had time to build his own website. Went away and created his own website. But what he was giving was just information back to people about the 101 of what to expect in the industry. His name's Paul Paulino. We can even link LinkedIn with me, and I can send you the details of it. But he's
Paul. Sorry.
Paul.
Yeah.
But he's created some content for juniors getting into the industry, and it's really valuable stuff. Like it's gold. And I look at it and I go, oh yeah, I knew that. But he's got it out there, and he's actually sharing it with his tribe, which is these juniors that are trying to get into the industry, and he's getting a really good following because of that. And it's just really useful information, like what to expect in that first week when you get on the job. These are the 101s that I needed to know. This is my work practice that I did when I got in there, and this is what I found out, my mistakes. This is, so these little gold nuggets for people that are trying to get into the industry. You need to step outside of the classroom and learn this sort of stuff as well. It's really critical that that you've got that sort of jump start ahead of everybody and know what to expect getting into the industry.
And as you said, like, he's got a huge following now, and just purely because he's now realised he can offer a lot of insight. Everyone's on the same journey he's on, and he's not that far ahead from where a lot of students are. And he's got all these people that know him. So opportunities are coming to him. He'll go try and apply for another job, and like, oh yeah, I know Paul, hey, he did this, and so, it's name drop this, it's name drop that. Like, it is a small industry. So the more you can kind of get your name out there, the more you can contribute, it's going to come back. I guarantee it. So another way, we're going to cut through this, but this is, in my opinion and Alan's opinion, the best way to get yourself out there, okay? So I'm hoping a bunch of you know what the Rookies is, but it is something that Alan and I started back in 2009. Anyway, we used to do a lot of talks at schools, and we'd find that all the schools would go, hey, we're the best school and our students are awesome. And we're like, oh, last week the school down the road was pretty good. So we thought, why don't we just have a friendly little sort of competition? And the idea was students would present their graduation projects. So it's open to students who have either just graduated or within about 18 months of graduation. So they come through and they present their work. They upload and show us what they're going to show a recruiter. So there's not a brief to this, but we have categories that cover all the main areas. But the idea is, it's like, what have you learnt and what's the end result? Because a lot of people go to schools, and there's some schools out there that, in the past and possibly at the moment, there's a little bit of taking advantage. It's like, hey, you got a high distinction or a distinction. And we get this all the time. People come and go, oh, here's my work. I'm an honours student at so-and-so something. You've never heard of them, but I'm an honours student and I'm really good. And you feel terrible that you're sort of telling them that, wow, you really, the fundamentals, you're not there, So for us, it's an opportunity for you to learn and see what we keep saying it's competition, but just to see what everyone else is doing, get inspired. Obviously our focus is very much on, hey, let's find and reward the best schools. Let's find and reward the best students, and let's try and, give a few prizes and do all that stuff. But our goal is to help you get from, you know, this learning stage and figuring out, how do I get to my job? Do I go to a school? Do I go this way? How do I get those jobs? And each year, I mean, this year, what do we got? We got how many internships and scholarships? Like, it's
there's over 30. So part of it is that we organise internships through our studio partners. So they come to us and say, hey, you know, at Weta Digital, for instance, there's 2 internships in the art department and in animation this year. So it's region-based, so people in Australia and New Zealand can only apply for those internships. So that's fantastic for you guys. You know, you're not competing against so much the people in Europe. So we get our studio sponsors on board. We've got 30 of them organised. We've got, you know, like, I think we've got something like 60 judges this year, and, you know, from the likes of Joe Lettieri right through to like amazing concept artists, John Howe. So there's all these eyes looking, not only recruiters, but industry that are looking at it, and every person that enters in gets like a ranking. So, you know, you might think that you're not so good, but you want to just go, you know what, I'm just going to test the water this year. I'm a year 2 student. I want to see where the industry think I am. So that gets unlocked at the end of it. It's only open to you. No one else sees that. And hopefully you're an A, you know, and then you can go kick some goals. But, you know, it's exciting because industry's behind it. So there's a lot of studios supporting it. There's a lot of, you know, really big heavy hitters that are just supporting the rookies. And it's great for students because they realise the opportunities that they're creating for them as well. How many years have you guys won it? Not that he's paying us or anything, Alex. How many years have you guys won it? School of the Year. You've won it a few years, haven't you? 3 or something like that. Yeah. So, yeah. It could be 4. No, but, you know, like, again, you know, it's looking at places like Nome and like Think Tank Training Centre. This what we're able to discover, and we're unbiased towards, you know, we're able to discover where these amazing schools are in the world, and they could be a school of 30 or they could be a school of 5,000. It doesn't matter how big they are. What we're trying to identify are where the best students are coming from, and, you know, like, it's just fantastic to see the level of some of these, you know, schools in the world that are doing some great work, you know, like Noman actually.
Yeah, and first and foremost, it's an opportunity to, you know, get over that hurdle, right? It's another opportunity to get your stuff online, get it in front of people, stop being, you know, timid about showing your work. You've got to get it out there, you know, it's a pretty good place to get it out there. I'm not going to show the reel because I'm pretty sure we saw that before. Just some numbers. It's big and we're growing, and we're trying to get more and more schools on board to sort of get into this friendly competition, because what we're finding by us being able to basically give everyone a score, we can help find where these amazing schools are. And as Alan said, like, there's a consistency where the best schools are coming from. So it lets you think, oh, geez, why are these guys over at Noman or Think Tank or whatever it is, like, what are they doing different? And ask your own lecturers and teachers, like, why can't we do this? Or maybe I'm just going to stop here and I'm going to go over here, or whatever it is. Like, it's just trying to open up that communication. We've got, how many sponsors this year? Something crazy. 50s, something.
Something like that.
Anyway, we got lots. You can go check out the website. Like, it is a great opportunity. We've got categories that pretty much cover all the main sort of computer graphics, media and entertainment industry things. We've got team-based stuff, which is for people doing films and games and whatever it is. So there's a whole bunch of opportunities. But as we're always harping on about, hey, this winner and this winner and this, like, we've got all these success stories of people that just came on and took a chance, and they met us or whatever, met someone else, got approached by a recruiter who was just like, hey, I've got a little side project, do you want to help? Like, it's just, it's an opportunity. And one of the core reasons we also started it was that, like, we're the biggest fans of ArtStation. They are, like, just what they have created and what they have is legendary. But we also find a lot of students very intimidated to put their stuff on there early. So we're trying to bring back that and sort of just keep it a bit student focused and junior focused. And we've got a bunch of plans coming forward, which you won't go into unless you get me drunk later. But so last little bit just to kind of wrap, and we might jump into some questions. Job application, interviews. This stuff is really simple, but it's insane how many times I've seen someone bomb in an interview, and I've probably bombed at some. But it's really basic stuff, and I think you've done all the hard work. you've got this demo reel that's like suddenly got someone calling you or emailing you saying, hey, I'd love you to come in, we've got this opportunity. At that point, you sort of got to pat yourself on the back and go, far out. Like my demo reel just thrown out there to this person has said, wow, it's like a bit of bait, and they've gone, cool, let's talk. So try and take the stress off it. Try and take the stress off that, oh my God, this is my big opportunity. If I miss this one, I'm screwed. Like, it's not the case. Like, you probably have to do quite a few interviews, but it's more about fit. It's more about the face-to-face. Can you talk? Can you communicate? Like, is there a good banter? Like, are you going to fit into this company? And that's where your mind should be. Still think about the technical stuff, like maybe have some smart questions about the work they're doing, or be able to talk about your demo reel. It's a great thing to practice, and any of you can practice at any time over the weekend with myself and Alan. Like, come and show your demo reel, but present it. There's nothing worse than just going, hey, here's my demo reel. Am I ready for a job? It's like, well, okay, go back to what I was talking about before, but talk me through your demo reel. Use it as a practice for when you're in an interview, because 9 times out of 10, the recruiter, and I always go like, walk me through what you got. We're going to play it right now, and then I want you to describe it to me, because I'm thinking I need to know when it comes to dailies that you can talk about this stuff. You can present and describe what you created. So it's a great little test. Have a little blurb about yourself, and then.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's also the danger of over-talking as well. Like a lot of people come into an interview and they want to show that they're knowledgeable and they're confident. But there's a fine line between being confident and being cocky. And if you're being too cocky, it can put some people off very quickly. So, you have to monitor what you're saying, and it's better to be quiet and then have somebody ask you a question where you can give an answer, and for them to go, oh, well, that's cool, he did know that, rather than coming and oh yeah, I know this, I know that, I know, and all the rest of it. There's interviewing techniques that you have to be just really mindful of, because like I said, it can piss people off very quickly. There's also, there's the approach you're going in, and like Mac has said, it's a two-way street, right? They're interviewing you, but you're kind of interviewing them as well. You're like, okay, is there a job description? What's the training that is going to be for me in the first 2 weeks when I get on site? Like, there's all these unknowns that you want to know. You want to have answers to questions as well. But just, don't come across as being patronizing. You're just asking a question, right? And you maybe leave that to the end just before they, I've got some questions for you. And the whole thing about, okay, I don't want to get stuck as a generalist. What are the steps, for me with this company? Or what are the milestones for me to be able to branch out into different disciplines? Is there something in place? This intelligent questions that you think about, before you go into this interview. And then, the other thing is, don't be scared to say, hey, and Kathy would probably kill me for saying this, but, don't be scared to go, you know what, I've been talking to, so-and-so in another studio down the road, because, you want them to want you just as much, right? So you kind of like, you play, there's a few mind games that go on, and that happens in an interview, but, for me, I would be, knowing who the recruiter is at such and such a studio or whatever it is, and just go, yeah, I'm thinking about applying there because I've got a really cool position going and this and whatever. So you're just dropping little seeds as well for them to go, yeah, okay, cool, he's out there, he's, so all these little things that go on, but yeah, just dress normally, don't overdo it, just be confident but not cocky, and just do the talking, but just be natural. People want to know that you're a good person without coming off and being brash and all the rest of it. They just want to know, hey, this guy seems like he's a really nice, first and foremost, because like Macca said, the actual demo reel, that just opened the door slightly. If you don't pass this next, that's 80% of it, right? If you might have an amazing reel, but if you don't pass this next part, then you're not going anywhere. Yep.
Cool. So anyway, don't overthink it. It's more just about the personal side of things. So this is a great opportunity. What you're doing here, use us, mingle, meet people, practice it, but don't stress about it. Like, I know that's easy to say, but it is more about just you, and it's not necessarily about everything else.
One other point before we finish up, because it's actually a really key point. But do your homework on the company. Know what work they've done in the past. try and find out what work they're doing in the future. You know, like it's to go in there and just be educated about the studio, find out numbers. You can go on their LinkedIn, you know, on their LinkedIn profile, find out how many people are working there. You might have a connection to somebody that's already working in the studio that you can drop a name. You might have gone to an event that you've met somebody that works at that studio going, cool, you know, I know so-and-so that works in the animation department, love their work. It's all these things that tie it all together to make you more desirable to work at that studio. This is creating your persona. If you don't create that and you come across as being, you know, non-respondent, blank, not a team player, then it gets shut down pretty quickly. I mean, it's hard for some people because they don't have those social skills, but you need to practice it. Practice it before you go in. Practice it with, you know, practice it with your friends, whatever it is before you go in. Just make sure you've got your questions. You know, just
don't practice with your mum.
It's a skill set as well. It's like even, and we haven't even mentioned that, like negotiating the salary. Like, what are you gonna, you know, how do you go about doing that? Because essentially you're going to bend over backwards just to get the job, right? And you'll say you'll take whatever. So there's these core skills that you need to be able to be working on, as well as your demo reel. It's all part of the parcel. It's not just, oh, cool, now I've got the interview. What do I do now? You need to understand that process before you even get in there.
Look, hopefully that's been, you know, helpful at some level. I think we've got time for questions if you've got them, and obviously Alan and I are going to be around here all weekend, so yeah, definitely hunt us down and ask us anything. Go for it.
So first of all, thank you for all of that information. Really, really helpful. I'm from media design school in New Zealand, and
Boom.
One of the issues I had when I was there, because I'm come from the game art side of things, was there was a really big focus on academics, mainly because it was a degree, and I knew what I wanted to do when I went into it. I wanted to be a prop artist and, you know, becoming an environment artist. That was my line, but a lot of focus was put on the academic side, learning about mythology and, you know, the theories behind video games, and less focus was put on, say, texturing an asset, unwrapping it properly. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that when it comes to in the industry.
Yeah.
How relevant is that?
It's a topic that we're quite passionate about. You know, like the problem is, and you know, it's not just in New Zealand. It's like it's everywhere. It's a global problem, right? Is that we have universities that have been, you know, in this format for a lot of years. You know, it's a 4-year course. You've got your academic. You've got all the rest of it. So the industry that we're in, it's so fast-paced. The technology's changing. Like the software's changing all the time, right? So they're trying to create this course in this, you know, university world that doesn't, you know, really work. So we see a lot of students with the same concerns that you do, right? So it's like, okay, cool, I've just spent 2 years, you know, learning the you know, how to, like the composition of a game through books or whatever it may be, right? But you're not actually getting down to building your demo reel, and it's like you find that last year is just that, you know, it's so intense because all of a sudden there's this pressure to build a demo reel, and shit, I'm not going to have it in time to apply for the game, right? So I think, you know, like unfortunately, you know, there's a lot of students in that case, and I think that's what Maka was talking about before, is like looking at the schools, you know, even through the rookies, the ones that have won like School of the Years and all the rest of it, look through that list, it's online, and finding out what they're doing differently. And don't be scared to ask the question, well, how come we're doing this when these students over here are producing results like that? Start asking, because the dialogue needs to happen. And, you know, this slowly changing, but, you know, ask Anna, we talk about this topic like for hours, and it's unfortunate that, you know, students are in this bind, but, you know, students going forward need to really do their research. They really need to do their homework and start asking those questions, you know, and that's what the Rookies is all about, is trying to educate students even before they start studying and getting into that sort of world. We want to be able to say, and that's the whole, you know, some of the point of the Rookies is have a look. These are the schools that are doing the best stuff, you know. Unfortunately, you didn't see it before you started. You know,
it's not a lost cause, though.
It's not, no.
Like media design school is a great school, but I understand your sort of concerns here, right? Like you're focusing a lot of energy on stuff that you don't necessarily think is going to benefit where you want to head. And you're lucky, because in a way that you're lucky that you know where you want to go. a lot of people just at this stage, they're like, oh my God, I either love it all or I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. So you kind of know what that is. And I think with the school you're at, and from what I'm hearing, like, it just sounds like you're going to have to like drive that yourself. You know, start going, okay, this is what I've learnt, and this is what I'm hearing about, and this is who I'm talking to, and feed that back to your school and say, you know, maybe instead of this module, can I do this? Or just, you got to communicate. And like all of this stuff, like, and everyone here is already doing it. You're putting in the hard yards. Like, this is not something that just kind of you learn overnight, and it's ever changing and it's evolving, and your interests are changing. So yeah, it's a tough one, but
yeah, it goes back to having a plan B as well. Like, you've recognised it, right? You're in it. You've recognised it. Okay, what can I do now to try and make sure that I've got a good result by the end of it? So, you know, start working on your own stuff, taking what you're doing there, making sure that you're utilising the system, and, you know, producing stuff that you can meaningfully take away and have a demo reel at the end of it. I think, you know, that's the most important thing, is going, okay, cool. I need to crack on here. And, you know, the thing is that a lot of students don't recognise that, and they're stuck in there, and they come out and they're saying, oh, you know, you got a distinction, you got an A, da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden we're like, dude, you're not even close to being an A. You know what I mean? So, well done for sort of recognising it, but you need to sort of crack on and try and work out how you can utilise it now.
I just have a follow-up question to that. Sorry.
yeah, go. Yep.
So, first of all, I graduated from media design school.
Oh, you've done? You've done, okay.
I'm a year out of media design school, and following media design school, I kind of just took it on myself, just self-teach myself, reach out to industry people, and just kind of get feedback that way. Now, in regards to the rookies, I've never applied for it before. What's the cutoff in regards to when you can,
For this year starting, you know, next week, you have to have been a graduate at any point last year. So if you were a graduate January, maybe graduating sort of December last year, you're eligible. So there is a hard cutoff, and this is kind of the stuff that I was saying. If you get me drunk later, we'll start talking about sort of what we're planning. So because we really want to move away from our dedicated focus of, hey, it's about the best student. Like, we know there's self-taught, we know there's all these other people at different levels. So we're going to open that up, but this year still has a bit of a sort of 12 to 14 month cutoff. So if you're a student now and last year, you're totally eligible. But, you know, if you're unsure, just drop us, like, on the website. There's a live chat. You can just hit us up, and we do have exceptions and we do figure things out. But yeah.
Just so everyone's aware, we open next week, but we run. You can submit at any time between March and June. Into June.
And yeah, May 29th, and then the judging and stuff keeps going.
So you've got like a good period of time to enter into the rookies. We just try and tell people not to do it right at the last minute, because some years we've had like thousands of people enter in the last couple of days, which is a bit of a bottleneck. So you don't want to get caught up in that, trying to upload your work when everyone else is doing it. And also, if you enter in early, obviously getting more exposure on the site with everyone looking at it. You're also, you know, because we give away, you know, truckloads of prizes as well, so people can, you know, jump into
and
those.
You can update your entry. You know, you can get it up there now and update.
You can put it up and then...
I'm going to go to the back middle here, because you've been very patient, and I'm sure you've got a sore hand. Sorry, but fire away. I don't know. I think some people are just born to be wankers. I don't know. like, and
I'm
like
wanker.
Look, I mean, it's like anything. There are massive egos everywhere. It's a tough question to answer. Like, I think you just got to, you know, look to yourself, and often the people that talk the most, they get lost, right? Unfortunately, in the industry, a lot of times when people do make a lot of noise, people listen to them. I'm sure there's some cool old saying for that. But yeah, you just got to look to yourself and just try not to big note yourself. It's not like it is such a small community, and there's just amazing people, and everyone, like, I'm at a big company, big role, but I still feel down here, right? Like, I'm never going to have an ego, because I'll jump into a meeting and you're just like, man, these people are so much more smarter at that aspect than me, and far out, look what they're doing over here. Like, it's very humbling. Even the rookies is humbling. Seeing, like, I go back, and even though technologies were different, I look at what I presented to get my first job to what's going on now. It's crazy. So there's definitely a lot of humbling experiences, and I think it's just don't be a wanker. Just try to,
you know, and that's the thing with the industry. It's you know, it weans those type of people out. Like, there are big egos in there, but it's like Macca said, like I worked with Noah like years ago. You know, you cross over, and after you've worked at a few studios, you know, what happens is generally you'll start chasing projects. You'll get onto a show and you go, cool, let's go to Vancouver. They're doing the next whatever movie, and then you find that it's like a group of people will just go, cool, that's the best movie. I want to go move to Vancouver and work on that film, right? And it's a very tight-knit community of people. And the longer that you're in the industry, you know, people start working their way up, and people know who you are, whether you're a wanker or not, and whether you want to work with that person or not. Like, it's
so true. It really is. Even at small companies, like, you know, I've been in roles where I've been sort of artist management, so it's nearly heading down a lot of the closed door talking, and it's often that, you know, a new show will come in and it's like, right, who are we going to roll over? And it's about who clashes with who. It's childish, but it's like, these people can't work together. Oh, this person's amazing, but they're causing too much trouble on this show. So you find those people get weeded out, and then they just go over in their corner. It's still amazing artists, like, you can't take that away, but if you're difficult to work with, it's just going to be a problem.
And
There's a t-shirt in that.
Yeah, and you know, even like just people, you know, when you've been in the industry for like 10 plus years, I get people contacting me all the time on LinkedIn going, hey, have you worked with so-and-so before? Have you worked with so-and-so? And it's like, it's as easy as, yeah, he's a dick, and that's it. He won't get a job, you know, like, there's that network that sort of goes on at that, you know, at that sort of level. And again, that's, you know, a great reason why to be networking and meeting people, and, you know, you'll figure it out yourself. You'd pretty much know straight away who's a wanker anyway, you know, when you're talking to them and they're just talking about themselves. And
we should do a talk on this.
Yeah. You'd be really good at it.
I would.
You can do a solo one. Yeah. Kathy.
All right, what else are we... Oh.
I just wanted to add on that. I'm with Kathy about what he's referring to. I think it's also just getting a reality check and looking at what other people are doing. Go to the rookies, go to ArtStation, go to LinkedIn, and just see what other people are doing. Because you might be the best student in your class and you graduate and you think, yes, I'm going to get this job. You go in the interview, but we're working with people who've been in the industry for 5, 10, 20 years, and we know what good looks like. So just look around. The rookies is a perfect example, and ArtStation. And it gives you a bit of a reality check of where you are.
Yeah. It's amazing, like, doing the school talks and that, I'll, you know, be talking, I'm like, who knows ArtStation? And like, one person will put their hand up. Like, it's a real bubble, like, and we don't feel that competition that goes on, say, in Europe, because you've got MPC, you've got DNEG, you've got Framestore, you've got all these massive studios doing big projects. You know, the competition there it's fierce. It's fierce, but here, you know, we're kind of like, you don't think about it. I mean, we haven't touched on the kind of the new industries that are being introduced, you know, with TV and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot more opportunities than what there were, say, when me and Andrew were sort of going through the system. But just that rivalry and competition overseas is, you don't feel it here. And the fact that we're sort of stuck in this bubble and we're not. And that's what we're trying to say, like, step outside of your classroom environment and don't even look at the school, you know, the uni down the road or whatever it is. Look on that global stage, you know, and that's when it'll open your eyes to what's going on, you know. And the sooner you do that, the clearer the path will be for you.
Go for it.
Does being generalist give you...
Not this question again.
I mean, we sort of touched on this, and it is a big topic. Just to, I guess, summarize, I mean, to me it comes back to, there's no right or wrong. There's no, hey, if I'm a generalist, it's going to be way better for me than a specialist. It comes back to you figuring out, what am I good at, what am I passionate about, and drive forward on that. There's opportunities for both. And I touched on this before. It's like, for me, I feel like at big studios, there's a tendency to be more specialist driven than a smaller studio, but there's always cases that it's the other way. There's the option that if you are a generalist or know more than just your one specialty, as Alan mentioned, it's like there's an opportunity for you to get to your next project. Because once you got your foot in the door, like, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed a job there. Like, you need to be able to not only, prove yourself, but if you have more skills to offer, you're going to be able to move to newer jobs. So,
no, it's Noah here. He touched on it before. Like, we've all come from generalist backgrounds. Like, if you want to be a generalist, just know what you're getting yourself into. Like, when he's talking about quick turnovers, high stress, you're under the pump 24/7, day in, day out. It's full on, right? And then specializing in specialist, it's a whole, it's
so cruisy.
It's a walk in the park in comparison to what a no, I'm not shitting you. Like, it's full on. You've got much bigger budgets. You've got time to work on assets. When you're looking at being a generalist in commercials and in advertising companies, man, it's high stress stuff, and you're expected to deliver day in, day out.
But there's high rewards with that as well. Like, this was what I was touching on before. Like, I wasn't aware at ILM how big their generalist departments were, and as I mentioned it, they're rock stars, and but they are under a lot of stress. But everyone is. You got to deliver. But it's suddenly like, far out. Do I want to be essentially an expert in all of it? If that's your passion, there's no right or wrong answer. It's like, that's just what you should do, and you should keep doing it until you find the role.
And those generalists that are at ILM have probably been generalists for like 8-9 years to get to that point. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's the difference between like climbing Mount Everest and a friggin' bump. It's hard work in commercials.
Yep, up the back. Sorry.
Getting back, getting your first job, I think pretty much everyone would agree that when you graduate, you just want a job. How do you sort of reconcile that with what you said earlier about traveling to the company? And honestly, I don't think anyone would care whether you got a job at Pixar or at ILM or anything smaller. So how do you sort of tailor your portfolio if all you want is a job, really, to get your foot in the door?
It's the same principle though, like whether it's Pixar or whether it's a design agency here in Melbourne, you're just looking at that and going, what is my portfolio? What does that need to be? You're just reverse engineering it. It's the same principle, right? So you just got to go, okay, what set of skills is going to give me the best options to get into this company?
Yeah, what I meant was, what if you don't really find which company you work for because you just want a job?
I mean, I kind of see where you're going from. It's like when you're starting out, it's like you just want a job, you don't care, right? I mean, that's where I was when sorry? Yeah, so I mean, you want that opportunity, and so from Alan's experience, he was very much like, hey, knocking on the doors, just I'll do free stuff, like just let me come in, watch, let's do this. Like, there is it's not a desperation, there's just like, you want to be involved. So it can be a bit of a slippery slope, but I think it's...
Yeah, I think it's also like showing, like I remember when I was calling these places, like, and it's, it was day in, day out, and I'm just like, is there anything going? And it wasn't, like it's a bit of a heyday. It's there is opportunities out there at the moment, but when we were going through, there was like Animal Logic and a couple of studios, and it was pretty tough. And I was just every day on the phone, pretty much going, hey, have you got anything for me? I think, for me in the background, I was just constantly just trying to add on to what I already had, just improving that little bit of a demo reel that I already had, and just, you have to keep pushing your own, you have to keep challenging yourself as well. You can't just go home and go, you know what, I've finished, and expect somebody to call you up, and a lot of it's to do with timing. If you're not calling them at the right time, they're not going to give you a job. But if it's like that time, and that's why you should never like give up. You should never say, all right, I've called them like, 10 times or whatever it is, and it's just not going to happen. Because that 11th time might be where they go, actually, shit, we do need you, somebody with your skills. You've got to be persistent without being rude. It's just regularly checking in, again, through LinkedIn if you've got their contacts. Just, and if you, manage to get their number or email or whatever it is, it's just being polite, but just saying, hey, I'm working away, I'm still improving this, like it's a fine line, and it's hard work, but, you have to keep pushing. And I guess it's like sales, right? For how many, if you're trying to sell 30 things, you'll probably get 3 buyers at the end of it. So you have to be contacting lots of studios and just hoping that 3 of them, the timing is right. You can't just do it once and think, oh shit, there's nothing out there.
I think it also just comes back to, in what we're trying to say in terms of targeting your work to a job, it's also you understanding what the available studios are, the available jobs are that are local to you. As much as we're like, hey, go look for jobs overseas, everyone's pretty much going to start here, right, in Australia somewhere. It's easier, it's more manageable, but you need to kind of learn about that industry. You need to learn about what companies are there, what companies interest you. I'd hate for someone to go get a job at some company they hate just to go, hey, I got a job in 3D. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to be passionate about it. But if you have that vision and go, wow, RSP, I've got to get down there. I'm going to get down there, and that's where I'm going to head. You then can target your work to the type of work they get. So it's about you going, okay, but maybe there's this other place here in Melbourne, there's an agency, there's something. We're trying to say target your skill to that. And if you've just got something that's like, hey, I don't have enough work for that, then you need to look at, well, maybe I'm not ready just yet, but try and find where you're trying to head. But we can chat more about it later if I'm rambling. Anything? Yes, down the front. I think back in the day, it was always demo reel. There was no exception, and it was bloody VHS. It was terrible. And yeah,
Jeez.
Yeah.
Jeez, how old are you?
I'm old. Shut up, you're older. But I think that's changing a little bit now. Obviously, if you want to get a job as an animator, don't send in some stuff. But there's a definite changing of the guard where you can go get a job as a texture artist or a modeler or even a lighter, just showing stills on a portfolio. So that's when I say a digital portfolio, I'm sort of saying stills. It doesn't mean you have to print it out, because then you got all sort of color issues. I wouldn't recommend that. But digital stuff versus a demo reel. So it totally dependent on what you're trying to get as a job. Yeah. So don't feel like you have to have a demo reel. I think there is a changing of the guard.
Yeah, but I'm just going to say personally, if you're applying for a texturing job, then I want to see, like I said, because the thing with a still image is that, you can doctor that in Photoshop, and I don't know, how your textures are reacting. So to be able to see a model with a light on it and see how the materials are working on it, that gives me more information. So think about, what's giving you the best opportunity to get that job. Are you just being lazy because you don't want to do a demo reel? Or is it, you taking the easy option? Unless you've got amazing still frame images. And then at that point, you've kind of already there, so why not do some turntables? I think, there is a changing of the guard, and some studios are like, cool, just send me your ArtStation page. And I think that's more concept, illustration, and sort of those disciplines that lean more towards that. But be careful. I wouldn't use that.
And ask them. Yeah. Say, hey, I've got this. Would you like a demo reel? Or it's the communication, right? But just get some good stuff somewhere. Cool. Yep, just here.
I noticed that you had a list of categories up before. And
yes.
Some of them you had some 2D categories.
Yes.
Most of the showreel or the demo reels that you've been showing have been mostly CG.
Yep.
The UVs, texturing, modeling, that kind of thing. Is that because that the 2D submissions are a more minor part of the rookies?
No, it's more this is kind of like, this kind of evolved from just, you know, this is where our passion point is. Like, we've been very much down this end of the pipeline. We actually did mention this the other day, saying far out, we should get some other stuff in there. But yeah, that's our bad. Like, but there definitely is a bigger focus on the 3D side of things, but then there still is a big area for 2D animation, and that's why we've got it as a film of the year. So because there's amazing talent doing that, and you know, we did branch out a couple of years back and sort of crack it open to graphic design and all this stuff and photography, and we sort of realized that, speaking with the art stations, the Nomans, all these other ones, that, you know, we wanted to come back to the core of what we sort of focus on. And it's, you know, there's not much game stuff here, but it's games, and it's visual effects and feature animation. They're kind of the core ones. But, you know, and because Autodesk is a big partner of ours, like, we're trying to head down the sort of architectural visualization, product visualization, all of that stuff. But in general, you know, we're trying to build all of them up. But yeah. Are you going to throw some 2D stuff in there, or is that just a... Yeah, cool.
When I finish, I'd really like to submit maybe another 2D. Do you take 2D demo reels, or do you just take 2D?
Yeah, look, we don't, there's the category for Student of the Year. There isn't a 2D specific, so normally we find a lot of the 2D students are doing sort of short films or whatever, so it's an opportunity to come in and, you know, get some exposure for that.
Okay, sure. Would you recommend submitting both a demo reel and a film, or can you do both?
You can do both.
Okay.
You can do both. Yep. Look forward to checking it out. All right. No more questions? Cool. All right. Hope you got some value out of that, and we'll see you outside at some point. Thank you.